I got into NFTs about a year ago, a bit over like March last year. And it's honestly, it's been such a wild ride from then till now. I started out, I think like most people, just like what is an NFT, and the whole thinking it's a scam thing. And then like 2 or 3 months of just consuming knowledge, like what's MetaMask and what's Uniswap and all that kind of stuff. But I guess pretty quickly got into flipping NFTs, and it was very much right place, right time. Like the market was a little low in March, April. I think it was crashing, but then it just popped off in like June, July, August, and I was around then, and was able to make like have some success in flipping, and it was fun, and it was exciting and rewarding and all that kind of stuff. But I got burnt out really really quickly, so um, I was looking for what else I can do, and I started creating content. So I had my newsletter and a podcast and these daily stats on Twitter, and people were really resonating with that. And it made me feel way better than flipping as well. So I wanted to pursue more of that and move away from flipping and more to like consulting, advising projects, creating content. And so I did that for a while, and that led us into sort of Zenacademy and the 333, which are the two projects that I launched in October, November last year. 333 is very specifically a community focused on, I guess, people who are more serious about the space. It was initially conceived as an idea for project founders to join and to maybe get access to some advice and consulting from me as well as the rest of the community. But it's evolved a bit into just being a place where anyone who's like serious about the space and just wants to learn, wants to succeed in whatever way, but also to help others and just be part of a close knit community to join. And yeah, I'm really thrilled with the members that we have. And then Zenacademy is like the much larger group, thousands of members, where it's a similar thing, but it's more like focused on those who are early to the NFT journeys. Like a lot of people, their first NFT is a Zenacademy NFT. A lot of people come in there and they ask questions about how do you sell something on OpenSea, or like why is it asking for a gas transaction, and like basic questions. And obviously we also cover some advanced stuff, but I really wanted Zenacademy to be helpful for those who are like new to the space and help that really steep learning curve become a little less steep. So yeah, that's me, and that's Zenacademy and the 333.
Right, it's really interesting. Sounds like you have quite a handful of different aspects. How do you kind of manage to do that with limited time? You have to manage the people who are asking like newbie questions, and then you have to manage on the project founders side of things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with difficulty, it's been a bit of a struggle, but I'm learning and iterating and putting processes and systems in place to make it better and easier. A lot of it is delegating. So like I really hired and brought on a bunch of people sort of January till like January, February, March this year to help in both respects. So with Zenacademy now we have like decent number of staff, community like mods as well as community managers to answer some of those questions, but also like community members will also help other members out. So it's really self like organizing there. If I'm not there to answer questions, someone else will be. And then in terms of like collaborations and giveaways, we've put systems in place to help basically, so I don't have to be as hands-on. And then for 333 and project founders, I've set up like office hours. So Monday to Friday, there's 2 windows, one in my afternoon and one in my late night, just so people in different time zones can. And I make like my Calendly available for members just to book 20 minutes or 40 minutes if they want to get advice or chat about this, that, then. And I think that is working well. But yeah, it's sort of a constant. I don't want to say struggle, but it's always a balancing act of figuring out where to allocate time and how to most help the most people, I guess, is what I'm always trying to do. Yeah. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, in terms of the kind of collaboration or helping out with the project founders, just wondering what is your experience like? What are some of the good ones or some of the bad ones, and how did it look like over there?
Yeah, I mean, it's wide ranging. So, I mean, I chat with people basically every single day, and most of them are project founders, and they're all at various stages of their project. Some have already launched and want advice on what's next, and some are about to launch, and some just have an idea and want to create something 6 months out. I would say the bad, like whatever, yeah, the worst, I guess, or the situations are when someone comes in and they are trying to launch in like 3 weeks and they have very little like in terms of marketing and Discord members, and it's like it's such an uphill battle, and I try and advise them to delay and maybe push it back a month and really formulate a marketing strategy and a plan. And honestly, that's the hardest thing, and the thing that virtually every single meeting I have, people will ask about is like, how do we market this project? How do we cut through the noise? How do we build a community? How do we get people to like us? And it's tough because there's so many projects out there that you're competing with, and at the end of the day, it's really hard to have a successful NFT project, and most are it's like startups. Most are just going to fail, but even ones with really good ideas, unfortunately. And yeah, it sucks that like shitty projects sell out and all that kind of stuff. But it's a pretty cutthroat space, and it's getting tougher. And I think yeah, just trying to help with the marketing, community building is what I find the most common issue. Yeah.
It sounds like marketing is a key aspect for most of these projects. How would you actually evaluate who kind of the projects, which ones has the highest probability to do well or not?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I think like I always say my answer to this question is like it's the team. It comes down to the team. But then like that's a fairly vague answer. It's like what specifically about the team to me makes it more likely to succeed. And I think it comes down to, I mean, yeah, it's not just the team. It's like, is the art nice? Is the vision good, and all that kind of stuff, and the pricing and that. But I think having team members, founders who understand the NFT space, who are like boots on the ground, who have their finger on the pulse, who have spent the last 6 months in Discords, on Twitter, chatting to people, they know what works. They know how to market. They know how to talk the NFT lingo. And then knowing how to do it is one part of it, and the other part is actually doing it and like spending 16 hours a day networking on Twitter Spaces, in Discord AMAs, talking to communities. Even if you only talk to 5 people, that's still great, and it's really a grind. I always, or lately, I've been referring to the Martian Premier League as sort of like a pinnacle example, someone that a project that had the right ingredients, had very few Twitter followers, and then implemented a marketing strategy and plan, and they understood the space, and then they executed it, and it was flawless, and they sold out, and it's a successful project in my mind. They did 62 Twitter Spaces and AMAs in like a month, and that level of dedication, I think, is what is required to cut through the noise. On top of also being a legit project with cool art and nice roadmap and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely agree with that as well. In terms of thanks, David. Thanks, Dave. In terms of the projects that, what would be kind of like the top 5 or also unreleased projects that are like off your head, something that you are excited about for
Yeah,
next quarter or year?
that's a good question. I'm way less sort of myself looking at what's coming up and knowing like what are good projects. Obviously, Moonbirds is top of mind. It's the Kevin Rose Proof Collective project. I think it's basically in my mind the next blue chip, and it's going to be interesting to see how the market values it. Originally, they were planning, and they might like a 2.5 ETH Dutch auction. I think now they're considering moving to a raffle system. Yeah, to me that's the most exciting. Like I would say the top 5 are literally Moonbirds. But yeah, that's coming out in 2 weeks. Honestly, I'm not that familiar with what's coming up in the next month or two. There's some cool like platforms and tools that aren't like releasing a NFT collection, but are doing things like allowing users to collateralize NFTs and take out loans and instant liquidity. And there's some cool marketplace things coming out, and those are exciting to me. Yeah, and there's a couple of projects that I've heard of that have like interesting mechanics, like a pay now, no, mint now, pay later. So you pay as you go type thing. And there's someone like a refund policy baked in, which we've seen already, but trying to iterate upon that. Those are the things that honestly excite me, like more like the innovative stuff and pushing the tech forward. Um, yeah, those and Moonbirds.
That's super cool. Kind of following up on that topic on NFT collateralization and perps. How would you think the near future will look like? I mean, kind of understand the current liquidity for that is not so um, um, not that much of it available. Yeah, just
Yeah,
wondering.
I think it's um it's not it's an issue. I don't know if you want to say it's an issue, but it's a real thing where people have these high value assets or any value assets, and it's like let's use a board ape as an example. It's very high value. It's 110 ETH. You currently can basically either sell it or not sell it. You can take 110 ETH or nothing. Um, and there are a lot of people who would like to take out, half of it, and you could fractionalize it, and then that's not perfect, and there's issues with that. Being able to collateralize and take a loan out against it, um, I think makes a lot of sense, is going to unlock a lot of this liquidity, and allow people to, like, maybe you take a loan out of 4%, but then you can go to DeFi and get like 10 to 20% returns. And there's a lot of cool things that people are going to be able to do. And then, of course, some people will take out a loan and use that to buy other NFTs. And I think that's sort of where the danger comes in. I think it's inevitable that we'll have these platforms that will allow you to collateralize instantly, and take out loans. Like we're already sort of seeing it with CryptoPunks, I think, and JPEG. You can get loans out, and there's going to be more and more, and they're going to expand to more collections. And I think that's going to unlock liquidity. It's going to cause the market to go even crazier, but it's also going to be like, I think the first real bear market and crash is going to be on the back of these collateralization protocols, because up until now people have not been able to easily leverage themselves into NFTs, and this is going to allow and that always brings crazy peaks and drops.
Yeah, that's super cool. And also, I guess with the airdrops that are available to kind of the NFT holders nowadays, I mean, that can be kind of another way to punt if they are,
Yeah,
if they are going on leverage over there. Um,
yeah.
Going on kind of to another topic regarding BAYC's kind of ape airdrop.
Mm.
I think, how do you see this ecosystem going? Bringing in the example of kind of like Benji Bananas, they're kind of like a mobile application that came from the non-crypto world. They are established, they have 50 million users, and they are kind of linking themselves right now into the
Mm.
coin ecosystem. Do you see this as kind of like a way forward where kind of like the AAA games eventually integrates into all this the ecosystem of big
I think
gaming?
so. Yeah, I think we're going to see more of it. I think it's it's really interesting. Like, honestly, so much of this has never been done before. So they're just experimenting and trying things out and seeing what's going to work and what doesn't. But I think anything that can be done to sort of bridge like real world or like retail consumers, investors, gamers, with a token, like anything blockchain related, whether it's the NFT or the ERC20, I think is usually going to be good for that ecosystem, if it's done in like a thoughtful, conscientious way, which I imagine it has been and will continue to be for the most part. It's really, really tricky to come up with good tokenomics, but I think there's some really great minds working on the board for Ape DAO, Ape Foundation, as well as some community members are coming up with some great ideas. And yeah, it's a huge experiment, and it's really going to be fascinating to watch. But I think it's yeah, whatever it is, it's fascinating.
Yeah, that's super. I think going on to another topic on kind of the current NFT meta themes. Recently, I think we kind of saw some an omni-chain NFT release, the Ghostly Ghost. That's quite interesting. What do you think are kind of like opportunities and risk of of this?
Yeah, I don't know too much about this whole omni-chain layer zero stuff. I know there's Stargate, which is this token that was sort of blowing up, might still be. And then yeah, we had the Ghostly Ghosts as I think they're the first omni-chain true layer zero NFT, CC0, all this kind of stuff. And to me, like without doing a lot of research, it sounds cool. It sounds interesting. It's got all the right buzzwords to drag me in. So I picked a few up on secondary. I think, yeah, it's really interesting. Again, it sounds like they're doing something new, and I love innovation. And it's going to be curious to see how the market responds and reacts to it. Like in 3 months, will people care that they were the first omni-chain NFT? Will a community form around it, or will it just be like a gimmicky thing that we look back on and who knows? But it's cool nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think you kind of mentioned CC0 as well. I think you have also written quite extensively on it. I think among the community, there's quite a lot of like board ape holders. Maybe would you mind to share like some thoughts around kind of the implications of like Yuga Labs moves and moving the collection to being a CC0 versus what it was like with Lava Labs.
Yeah. I can't imagine Yuga Labs ever relinquishes the IP rights to uh, any of the collections. Well, maybe CryptoPunks and maybe CryptoPunks, but for Bored Ape specifically, I think so much of the value is that uh, holders and owners of the NFT have full commercial rights to do whatever they want, and if someone outside the ecosystem wants to create something, they have to pay that, license it from that ape holder. Um, the danger, of course, is that if Yuga Labs decides they want to sell to Disney, which I don't think is going to happen, but it's theoretically possible, Disney can then come in and change the IP licensing and say, well, you no longer have full commercial rights. So it's just a small risk and something to be aware of. Whereas if the NFTs were CC0, I mean, you don't, to begin with, you don't have those rights, so you couldn't charge someone else to use your content. But then again, you can't lose those rights because no one has them. And it's a very different approach, I think. And it's not right for every project. I don't think every project should be CC0, but I think it's cool that more projects are exploring it as an option, especially these sort of on-chain, highly composable NFT projects where it's like they're just putting together really basic Legos that people can then build upon. And again, there's no legal, thing saying, all right, well, you've used this NFT, you now have to pay us for it. But there's this crypto ethos and culture where if someone does build upon an original idea, an original NFT that is CC0, generally what they'll do is they'll figure out some way to reward those original holders, whether it's, you get a free NFT in this next collection, or you're on the mint list, or you can stake it for some tokens in this ecosystem. Yeah, like there's some really cool things that are possible because of the technology of NFTs. And I think the culture and ethos is largely to reward just people who were there early and supported early and original builders and founders. And I think, yeah, I'm a huge fan of CC0. I don't think it's for every project though, and I don't think that BAYC will or Yuga will move in that direction. I think there's too much, like they already have too much value in the brand. But for projects that are like starting out and trying to gain exposure and popularity, or building something really simple and composable, then it makes more sense.
Cool. Yeah, sounds like it gets very complicated if hence change over there. Moving on to another question. I think one kind of like a trend that has been ongoing for a while now in GameFi regarding guilds and all that. Would you have any kind of like thoughts or opinions around like a guild model and scholarships model in general?
Yeah, I think that they're super interesting. They make a lot of sense because, well, for a lot of reasons. I mean, we've seen with Axie is probably the biggest and most prominent example of guilds, where in order to play, maybe you have to own NFTs that are quite expensive, but then you can play and you can earn. And so, you have this mismatch of, one person has the capital and the assets, but not the time, and someone else has the time, but not the capital and assets. And if you can mash them together and um, find some mutually beneficial way for people to succeed, then I think that's amazing. And these guilds are sort of helping match and coordinate and organize both sides of the equation, as well as providing education and information to help like further propel anyone within the guild at succeeding. And it's almost like sharing assets, sharing knowledge, sharing rewards, and it's how a group of 100 people working together is going to be more effective than 100 individuals working separately. Yeah, I think that they're really cool, and I think that we're going to see more and more of them as time goes on. Uh, yeah.
Cool. Sounds great. Going back to kind of the like a minting of NFTs. There is a question. Kind of, would you think that there will eventually be kind of like a solution for solving the gas wars during like minting of NFTs, and what would it what would it what would that what would that look like?
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of progressing in the direction of like there are not that many gas wars anymore, um, compared to September last year, August, September. There were almost every drop was a gas war, because like whitelists, mint lists, they just weren't even really a thing. And then they were sort of created as a way to solve these gas wars, and then they've evolved into this whole other beast entirely, and they're not perfect. But I think I mean, a few things are happening. One is contracts are getting more efficient and gas optimized to help um, mitigate the impacts of a gas war if there is one. But also, more projects are using something like pre-mint to collect ETH addresses, add them to an allow list, a pre-sale access list, and then give them time to mint. Um, More projects are experimenting with raffles. I think that that's a decent way. It's not perfect. More projects are experimenting with Dutch auctions. I think that's a decent way, but not perfect. I think some sort of like blind Dutch auction is probably where everyone pays like the lowest resting price. Something like that is probably the closest we can get to avoiding gas wars and being the most fair. It's not necessarily the most inclusive, but it's fair. Yeah, I hope that we see more projects move towards a model like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Just wondering, if it's kind of like a Dutch auction, how would you manage that? How, as if you are going in and you are doing the mint, how would you kind of strategize that?
So if I was launching a project and I wanted to have a mint price, I would go and it's like decently hyped. Obviously, these questions are irrelevant if there's no demand and no one's minting. But let's say it's a hyped project. I would say Dutch auction. Well, you don't need to say Dutch auction. Just like everyone puts in bids. You can put in multiple if you want, as many as you want. Um, and then let's say we have a 10K collection. We'll just take the 10K highest bids, and they all get to mint at whatever the lowest bid of that 10K is. So maybe someone bids 100 ETH. That's fine. They're probably not going to pay 100 ETH unless 10,000 other people bid more than 100 ETH. But then let's say, some people bid 7 ETH, some people bid 2 ETH, some people bid 1.5. And then finally, like all 10,000, well, there's 100,000 bids maybe. But then of that, 10,000 of them are above 0.6 ETH. People bid all the way from 0.6 to 10 ETH. Someone's willing to pay 10 for it, but they end up only paying 0.6. And I think that is probably how I would do a drop. I think there are a couple of issues to solve for still. Like you have to like lock up the funds somehow. So someone, if they bid, then they have to have that amount in their wallet. And then it's like, do you escrow it? And then is there a gas cost involved in bidding? And it's not perfect. But there probably are some savvy tech solutions that can be put in place to mitigate it. But yeah, that in theory is what I would do.
That's super cool. Thanks so much for the sharing, Roy. Um, opening the floor right now to any questions before we kind of move on to the next segment. Billy.
Yeah, hi, Roy. Just a quick question. I was just wondering, if you could just share your thoughts in regards to music NFTs. What will it take for them to really take off, do you think?
Yeah, I think music NFTs are interesting. I think they will eventually take off, but the maybe one of the issues is that when it comes to say art NFTs, um, people were not really already collecting and paying for art online. So NFTs include this whole new thing, whereas currently almost everyone is already consuming music digitally via Spotify. People pay it. It's a good product, or good enough for users at least. It's not great for musicians. Um, we get access to tons and tons of music, and so getting people to shift from that model to a Web3 model for paying for music NFTs is a little bit more of a hurdle than going from zero to art NFTs, for instance, or collectibles. I think that there's some cool things that people and projects can do, and they're like trying to innovate, like selling just like generative music is cool, or like selling individual stems and then allowing users to use those to create their own music. Some artists are just selling individual songs for really high prices and just trying to find like one or two collectors to collect them. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take for them to really pop off. I think just time and innovation, and maybe some platforms, some Web3 native platforms to come in and just become more streamlined and easy for the end user to use, while also rewarding the musicians, like a Web3 Spotify, something like that. I don't know what it looks like. It'll probably involve some really complicated tokenomics, and there's a tons of issues to be solved. But in the interim, I don't see them truly going mainstream until that happens.
Thanks for that.
We have a question from Daniel.
Yeah, hi Roy. Wanted to ask you, I'm sure you've been speaking to many sort of like NFT project founders and been value adding to them as well. So, my question is more on from your side, how do you sort of like decide, how much value add, how much time, how much effort you put into each individual project?
For me, so I guess I allocate certain amount of time during the week for office hours, and honestly, it's like I try and help however I can. For the most part, at least through the 333, no one is like very demanding of my time. People are respectful and understand that I'm busy and I'm trying to help lots of projects. But if I can help them out, if they have a question, I'll try and answer it. If they book a meeting, then we'll have a call. Everyone is at different stages and requires different amounts of help, and is looking for different amounts of help. It's a constant balancing act and juggling act of like, how do I basically help as many projects. Thankfully, not everyone's launching a project this month. There might only be a couple of people launching in any given month, maybe 2 to 5 people. Other people are thinking 2 months out, 3 months out, 6 months out, or not launching a project. So I just vary like the time, like timelines of different projects, and how like urgent any sort of thing is, and just try and help however I can. I try not to like prioritize one project over another just because I like it more than the other or anything like that. I try and help as many as I can.
Yeah, thanks for that.
All right, I think thanks so much for the sharing, Roy. Just a last question, actually. Just wondering, on recent news on Pudgy Penguins, what are just your just your thoughts around it with the change of
Yeah.
name and all that?
I'm not surprised. I mean, I think it was in talks for months. I don't even know who actually bought it. But I think it makes sense, and I think that it's not the we're going to see more acquisitions and projects being bought up by other people for whatever reasons, because they think they can turn it around. They're personally invested in the brand a lot. They like it. I mean, the original team is struggling for whatever reasons. So, I mean, it's good for Pudgy Penguins holders. Obviously, the floor price has gone up. It is, yeah, it's just interesting. Honestly, it's just interesting to follow. I think we're going to see more of it. It'll be curious to follow it. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's super. Oh, we have a question from Bailey.
Yeah, hi, it's me again. I was just wondering, when it comes to the money management aspects, how do you decide how much to allocate for for a project? Well, I guess it's kind of linked to how do you also evaluate an NFT project when it's very early on. So how do you I'm just like thinking what your thought process is when it comes to like money management.
Like from like my personal investing, like how do I decide how to allocate to which projects?
Yeah, so from your portfolio, how do you decide how much to allocate for a certain project?
Yeah, it's very subjective. Like it's hard to quantify a lot of this, and a lot of it comes down to like just gut feeling. I look at a project, I try and figure out the team and the product, and sort of get a personal evaluation of like how much conviction do I have in it, how much do I believe that this is gonna like do well, the team is gonna execute, the market is gonna appreciate it and like it, and then something I sort of like. So again, I don't have like a rigid system in mind, but what I'll think about is like, what type of NFT is it? And what level of exposure do I already have to that sector? So if it's a PFP project, I already have a lot in PFPs. I have Bored Apes, I have Doodles, I have this, that. I don't necessarily need to go even crazier. So then if I want to invest into it, it might be like, well, maybe I'll sell another PFP project and allocate it into this new one. But if it's something different, like a membership pass project, well, I have a couple of membership passes, but I don't have a lot. Or if it's music NFTs, like I don't have a lot of exposure to music. And if I have a lot of conviction, I might allocate a higher percentage there just because it balances my overall portfolio out between, PFPs, music, metaverse land, or there's so many different sectors. And I try and keep that in mind in terms of like, yeah, just what exposure do I want to have? Like, not just like NFTs and then regular crypto and real estate and other assets, but then within NFTs, the different sectors, because I think it used to be for most of last year and prior to that, the NFT market like moved as one. Like if NFTs were going up, everything was going up, and if they were going down, everything. Now I think we're starting to see it split off, and certain sectors are performing better than others. And so I think it's just a little more important to balance your portfolio across different sectors. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Cool. I think we have a question from the floor. Do you think that we are in an NFT bubble right now?
Yes, probably. I think so much of the evaluations of so much basically is speculative and based on sentiment and hype, and there's very little tangible value to most of it. And there are just so many projects. There's just so many projects that are going into zero and just going to crash and burn every single day. 10, 20, 50 projects launch. So yeah, I think we are in a bit of a bubble. I don't know when it will burst or how it will burst. It could be a massive crash after collateralized platforms come out or it could just be a slow burn where projects bleed off and the lower the less prominent projects just go to zero, and the blue chips, maybe they go down 10-20% and then that's it, and then or maybe they go down 50%. But I'm confident that obviously I believe in NFTs. I think long term they're here to stay. I think some of these projects are building really enormous brands, and some of them have good utility and are building real value. So I think those ones will exist and survive and probably thrive down over a multi-year horizon. But I definitely think there's a lot of bubble elements, and I think a lot of projects will crash at some point.
So cool. Cool. Thanks, Roy, for the sharing. Yep, I think for the next segment, I will just do a quick introduction to Nansen Alpha and along with kind of the Nansen product with the dashboard. I think we spoke little about Pudgy Penguins earlier on, and I think Roy has also mentioned the how the NFT space is kind of, I'm just sharing my screen right now, how the NFT space is kind of growing bigger, and we can kind of see certain sectors emerging from it. I think that's kind of the thinking behind the team at Nansen coming up with the NFT indexes. For the purpose of this demo, I think I'll just be focusing on the NFT aspects of things. Yeah, and kind of what Roy has just mentioned, I think the team has kind of put together the like a basket of NFT projects that are focused on the blue chip projects, for example, or projects that are more focused on social, more GameFi or art, or focus on the metaverse. And yeah, I think just with a quick look through the indexes, I think we can kind of see some themes or sectors performing better than the others. I think in the blue chip markets, we kind of see it doing pretty okay. It looks like GameFi is taking quite a big hit. And same for the metaverse. And of course, if we kind of want to dig further, the Nansen dashboards allows you to kind of just get into the index and then look at the collections that are part of the index, their market cap, and see how their floor price is currently moving. So I think from here we can kind of see like the projects that are bringing down that index right now. Yep, and aside from the NFT indexes, of course we do have the NFT dashboard overview here, so it helps users like us who are looking at NFT projects to kind of make sense of all the noisy on-chain data. So over here, we kind of have a market overview. And for example, when we were talking about Pudgy Penguins earlier on, so if I just get into the collection, we can actually do kind of a dive into Pudgy Penguins in terms of due diligence to look at what's happening in the project. And I think for Pudgy Penguins, just last week, we kind of have the announcement, I think 1st April or so, that there was kind of a change of hands of management, and we see the volumes kind of increasing and price increasing over here. And the dashboards, we can kind of look at how smart money is interacting with the project. So I think we can kind of see some smart money buys that are highlighted in yellow over here. And we do see a couple that are like co-Ethereum. I think he was actually the previous of the project. So I think he's been buying at a pretty high price, so that might have lifted the floor price a bit. And yeah, I think these are just some of the tools that in terms of the dashboard that Nansen provides. Along with, we do also have like a rarity profiler of your NFT collection and a price estimator to kind of estimate your NFT's price based on its rarity traits. And that's just in terms of the Nansen dashboard product. And for the Nansen Alpha team, we are kind of the premium product offering within Nansen, and our community comprise mainly of crypto native individual investors, as well as crypto native funds, family offices, and guilds as well, gaming guilds and NFT collectors as part of its core members. Yep, and we have a good mixture of such profiles in the committee as well. Happy to take any questions from the floor as we go through Nansen's details. We have a question from Edward.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Edward.
So my question is more of what allows you guys to determine like what are the parameters that kind of describe smart money? Is it something that's manually input? Is it something that's like determined by profitability of recent mints, stuff like that? Like what determines smart money buyers?
Sure. There are different labels. Smart money buyers would be one of it. Profitability will be one of the metrics that's used to attach that label. I can send over kind of the label definitions, because aside from smart money, I think we do have a couple of other labels as well. So outside of NFT, for example, we do have like a smart money and smart LPs. So those wallets tend to be more active doing LPs. So for the smart money profiles in the NFT space, they tend to be the ones that tend to be the wallets that have been doing well in the NFT space in terms of their profits. Yeah.
You said smart LPs for DeFi as well, then?
Yep, that would be for DeFi. There are a couple.
Do you guys have like a DeFi tracker with Nansen?
Would you be able to clarify DeFi tracker in this case?
Well, because like if you're tracking smart money from DeFi, from people that are good at DeFi, I'm curious then if you also then track some of those people's activity in DeFi and kind of set alerts like, hey, this person has now just started adding liquidity to X pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of that's available via smart alerts. So for example, if you are farming an LP in a new farm, you won't want to be dumped on in terms of your farm token. So you would like to, for example, know who are the biggest wallets who are farming the same pool, and get an alert if there are any movement of that tokens within that wallet. To do that, you can set up smart alerts. The short answer is yes, you can do that. You can track the profile as well. That will be outside of the NFT dashboards. You can track it by their wallet address. You can also kind of track the wallet address along with the token as well, and set up smart alerts for any movements that any on-chain movements of that wallet with respect to that token, so that you can move ahead of the crowd, right? So you don't want to be caught off guard, because tokens tends to be sold in batches for the bigger wallets.
Right.
Yeah.
And then overall, the last question I have is, what's the pricing model for this product? Like, what do you buy? How do you buy it? Stuff like that.
Sure. In terms of pricing, I think we can get it from the homepage. There are 3 tiers of pricing: the standard tier, the VIP tier, and the alpha tier. If you like to, happy to share more after the call as well.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. There is a link that Dave has shared in the chat as well regarding the.
I see it. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Also, just to add, yeah, like a single address can have more than one label. So like you can be like a smart minter and also like a smarter LP. And there's like multiple ways of kind of using these labels throughout Nansen. Like one, obviously you can use like smart alerts if you know the specific wallet. But you can also do it for like entities, right? So if you want to track like what smart money is doing, you can actually tag that entity and like set up the criteria you want, so you can see in real time. And I think like throughout like the product, you can actually see what smart money is doing, whether that be for a token or whether that be for like minting. So yeah, I guess it's definitely like there's multiple ways of like using the tags, which is like the beauty, so you can kind of figure it out. But yeah, it's kind of ingrained in all of the product features, and like I guess like that's like it's a really nice added benefit when it's like used in conjunction with some of these other things, whether it be like FOMO levels or price estimator, whatever it might be. So I just want, and then also in the chat there's a link to Nansen AI that has like what the wallet labels mean. So if you do want to follow up on that, yeah, feel free to check those out. And those are like dynamic, so they're always changing. So if you were smart money last year and you do not fulfill the criteria this year, then you're obviously cycled in and out. So yeah, hopefully that helps add some clarity to your question as well. But
Definitely, no, I appreciate it. It's definitely good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I think for just the next 5 minutes, we'll kind of go through the kind of value proposition of Nansen Alpha, and then we'll open the floor up for questions for Roy as well as the Alpha team. Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, hi guys. So yeah, I just wanted to give like a short, introduction of what Nansen Alpha and what kind of, value proposition that we bring. So, if you guys are interested, you can easily contact us after this call as well. So yeah, just a quick one, Nansen value proposition. So what we are actually very known for is the curated community of crypto mavericks. So we have members who are high net worth individuals who are, working the space as founders, builders, and even working in funds as well. So we have a very diverse kind of community right here where you connect, nurture, and learn from each other, and even share investment ideas and spar on different TCs as well. So our community is what makes us truly unique, Nansen Alpha, and this is the biggest sort of like value proposition for us right now. The second is have exclusive insights and reports from Nansen analysts. So our analysts actually provide research reports based on data-driven or thesis-driven approach, and we're kind of agnostic right now, covering various chains as well. So for sort of the price you pay for the sort of membership, we are providing you a lot of analysts and even interns to help you with your actionable data. And the last is access to early stage opportunities through AMAs. Could be educational AMA, such as maybe Astropod, Mars protocol, coming down to teach us more about the protocol, and also how to take part in their airdrops, for example. Even we had most recently Friction, Solana options platform, and we also sometimes have investment opportunities available from time to time on case by case basis as well. And yeah, next. Yeah, so similarly, this is something that we've been recently building out, which is a bit of our NFT whitelisting opportunities and collaborations. So have a lot of NFT experts and people who are very interested in NFT in our community. So we also want to work with many different projects and founders on helping build up their marketing, their community, and even doing certain collaborations such as AMAs, podcasts, and research, future sales and fundraising for them. So yeah, if there's any founders who are interested, or anyone who's interested to collaborate with Nansen Alpha, we are happy to have a conversation as well. And most recently we had Renner Rock and managed to get some good engagement and marketing out for them. And yeah, any interesting projects, do let us know as well. And yeah, I think that's all about Nansen Alpha. And back to you, Seth.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. I think we have a. Oh no, I thought we saw a question. Yeah, yeah. Thanks everyone for the sharing. We're kind of opening up the floor right now to any questions you may have for Roy or the Alpha team. All right. Otherwise, Roy, actually, do have kind of a question as well. What's kind of like running these two committees? What is your experience like so far in terms of like collaborating with projects and doing quite this and so on?
So in terms of like Zenacademy and 333 collaborating with other projects, yeah. So it's been interesting. So to begin with, like in November, December, we launched. Honestly, there weren't too many projects doing collaborations and giveaways and stuff like that. So I'd hand it all myself, and then it was relatively easy enough to do. And then as time went on, as more and more projects popped out, more projects started doing collaborations, what mint list giveaways, discounts to services. I was like, well, I can't handle this. Then I hired, well, I already had someone doing some other stuff for me. So I asked if he could handle the giveaways. And that was great for a while, but then it got to be too much work for him. So we put together what we've called a collab council. So it's made up of community members from both Zenacademy and 333, as well as some mods and my operations manager and giveaway manager. So what we have is a Google form that anyone who has a project or who wants to suggest a collaboration between Zenacademy fills out the form. It goes into a central database, and then we have a panel of 5-6 people who every day evaluate all the projects. So they give it a scoring, a 1, 2, or 3. So we get an average score, and then write some comments. And from that, if the panel decides yes, we want to collaborate, then we have Tom, who's a collab manager. He will reach out to them and organize it and post the giveaway. And we also have someone set to, or a couple of people now, to reach out to other projects. They're like, maybe they don't come to us, but we're like, we want to collaborate with them. So then we figure out how do we find them. So yeah, it's fantastic. This council is working wonders. I have very little to do with it now because it was just way too much work, but I'm really happy with how it's set up. My operations manager put it all into place, and we're sort of iterating upon it because it's been around for about 6 weeks, I think. And yeah, every week it seems to get better in my mind. So I think yeah, what we're doing next is that so the council evaluates these projects and has notes and stuff. And so occasionally there are 333 projects, like projects that a founder from the 333 suggests that their project is a giveaway, and we tend to run all the giveaways from 333. But there's sometimes it's constructive criticism or like feedback from the council members. So now we're thinking of how can we share that with the project founders to help them, just show them some more feedback from the community. So yeah, that's the process, and I think it's in a good place right now.
That sounds great, right? Yeah, I think we have 2 hands raised. Greg, would you like to ask or share your thoughts?
Sure, Daniel's first, I think, but I will if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask you quickly, Roy, was at all Horizon Labs?
Sorry, you cut out there. I missed that.
Are you associated with Horizon at all? Horizon Labs?
No, I'm not. At least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not by that name.
It's the reason I asked was because of the Zen moniker. That's their token symbol, and they do have an NFT platform thing called Horizon Labs that they're working with, and I just didn't know if you were associated with that. The second part of the question has to do with what you're seeing in the NFT space in terms of both the, Zen has actually a privacy coin, so it does have some privacy portion to that coin, much like Monero would have. So, are you seeing any interest in the NFT side becoming more involved in some structure, and are you seeing any I guess hazards for hacking and so forth and so on that are going on currently? Because it just seems like we're undergoing a pretty severe cycle of of hacking within the system?
Yeah, I think there's certainly just a lot of hacks that take place in scams, and there's people who are, I think, thinking about how we can solve this or make this better and work on it. And I think one of the biggest things that we're going to see probably in the next 1 or 2 months, hopefully, is this. So currently, to verify ownership of an NFT, you have to use the wallet that the NFT is in, connect it to a website, connect to Collabland. If you want to claim an airdrop, then you have to connect that wallet. And sometimes that's your vault. Like, I have my Bored Ape in my vault to claim Ape. It was either claim it from there, transfer it to another wallet, and then claim it. And sometimes you can't transfer for whatever reasons. So coming up with a solution to this, basically, where you can have like an intermediary wallet that, which it's not that technically difficult. You can prove, hey, I own these two wallets. They're connected. I can prove that I own both of them. Wallet A has my high value NFTs. Wallet B is going to connect to these sites and claim all that stuff and do all of my transacting. So I think that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I think we will see in the next couple of months. Yeah, as far as privacy and security and stuff goes beyond that, I think a lot of it is education focused. Like, people just aren't aware of some of the scams or aren't educated on how to secure their seed phrase, or that they shouldn't be clicking on a link, or they don't even know what they're signing when they sign. And I think that solving it at the education level is probably going to be the most important and effective thing that we can do. And that's just going to take time.
Are you seeing anything with the privacy side as far as the actual, like, using Zen or using Monero or using any of those, pirate coin or any other crazy?
I'm not really, no, but I'm not clued into that sort of sector, and I haven't really gone out looking for it. But yeah, not on my radar.
Cool. Thanks, Greg, for the question as well. I think thanks so much, Roy, for coming in onto the session. I think we're kind of running onto the mark. I'll stop the recording here. Are there kind of any closing words you'd like to say to founders, explorers and investors kind of in the NFT space?
Yeah, I mean, what I always say is just like, be patient. I think it's, and I'd say that to myself as well, and to people who are brand new to the space and have been in for a while. It's just, it's just a good reminder that, the space moves a mile a minute, and it's easy to get caught up in the madness, or to feel like you're not doing enough. If other projects are going crazy, and yours might not be. But just be patient and focus on building and what you can do to provide value is I just love saying be patient, because I think that we can all remember that a little more, myself included.